I'm in the middle of researching videos on other topics, but I need to stop and make a couple of videos about school meals. The conversation that I'm hearing from the media about school meals seems to assume that everybody agrees that school meals are bad. So, number one, I want to refute that idea. And number two, some alarmingly large percentage of the public seems to think that Robert Kennedy can do something about it. So I want to talk about the challenges and opportunities of school meals and why I think this administration slash regime is not about to do anything to make them. So the first point is, are school meals bad? The conversation that I hear around school meals seems to assume that school meals are not nutritious, that they're junk, that they don't include fresh food, and seems to ignore the fact that school meals are already very heavily regulated as to what they can contain, as to what their nutritional value is required to be. So most school meal programs rely on the USDA. The USDA is the United States Department of Agriculture, and it is a large public agency. It's a part of the federal government, and it has two mandates. These two mandates tend to be in conflict. One of the mandates is to promote a healthy diet for the people of the United States, and two, to promote American agricultural products. So those two mandates can be in a little bit of a conflict because they are going to promote United States agricultural products for the American diet. And this resulted in the infamous food pyramid from the, I think, probably 50s through the 80s. It was certainly around when I was growing up. And this food pyramid said that a healthy diet should include lots and lots of carbohydrates, lots of meat and dairy, and lots of vegetables too, and very few like sweets and desserts, sodas, junk food, candy, stuff like that. The problem with that food pyramid, I don't think, is that that diet is an unhealthy one, but it does assume that it's the only healthy diet, which it isn't. You could certainly have a very healthy diet that is more protein heavy, has a lot less carbohydrates, has a lot more meat and dairy. And you can certainly have a diet that is healthy as an adult, that is free of dairy, that is vegan, free of protein. And even, I think, out of infancy, you can have a diet that's free of dairy and be just fine. So the issue isn't really with the food pyramid, it's more with the fact that they're promoting American agricultural products in that food pyramid, meaning that they're trying to get people to eat more dairy, eat more protein, and eat those carbohydrates, which are all grown in the United States. So that is who is administering the school lunch program, which is the National School Lunch Program. And that program provides funding to schools to provide school lunches. And it also grants free school lunches to people who are below a certain income level, and reduced price lunches for people who are a little bit above that lowest income level. And in California, we have universal school meals, which is it's called School Meals for All, and everyone in California, all school children, can get a meal for free. And I can speak in a later video as to why that's a good idea, but in most of the country, that's still not the case. So the school meal program is providing funding to the actual kitchen, to the actual school meal program, and they're providing funding for these low-income students to receive free or reduced priced school meals. The USDA also provides schools access to USDA bulk products, so sort of overages of agricultural products, or agricultural products that just happen to be inexpensive at that particular moment. Schools have access to bulk buying of agricultural products through the USDA. They just don't get to choose what those products are. So if they want to, they can make a school meal out of, 20 barrels of popcorn or whatever happens to be around. They can get in on that, buy it for cheap through the USDA. So the USDA also administers that program. So school meals are already governed by a lot of regulation as to what can be served, and that regulation is imposed on the USDA, and schools have to comply with that, and they have to show that they're complying with that in order to get funding from the USDA. Those regulations are the meals that are provided, they have to be low sugar, they have to be low salt, they have to be a certain percentage of whole grains, and a fruit and or vegetable and a dairy product and a carbohydrate have to all be offered at once. I don't think they have to offer meat, but they do have to offer a dairy product, a fruit, and I think a vegetable as well for the lunch. So they have to offer a certain components per lunch. And they have to offer those whether or not the kid wants it and whether or not the kid's going to eat it. So the fact that they, I'm picturing back in my day, they would, put these watery, bitter red apples on every school lunch and they would just get thrown out. So that is still a piece of what happens is they have to offer these particular components, and then those components often get thrown out because that's not what the kid wants. So what I find really frustrating about the conversation around school meals and improving school meals is that it's a lot of people who are coming in from the outside who don't know anything about how school meals actually operate and the rules under which they operate. So they are already governed by a set of pretty strict standards, and I will tell you that it's actually pretty difficult to find products to serve to kids that meet these strict standards. And there's a whole industry of sort of procurement companies that specialize in providing foods that meet these standards, because if the procurement person at the school level has to find them on their own, it's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort. Which brings us to what I feel like is the problem that people are seeing with school meals that I think is a somewhat legitimate complaint, which is that school meals are often processed food. They are often prepackaged food. They are not freshly made, and the quality of fruits and vegetables that the school meals serve is not amazing. The quality of the fruits and vegetables being not amazing is a factor of them getting those fruits and vegetables from the USDA. They tend to be a bit random as to what they can get. And also they're getting them from these procurement companies, which are getting the cheapest possible, which means that they're often imported from outside the United States. So you're getting, and you're also looking for foods that kids will eat, which tend to be a narrow range of foods depending on the culture that the kids at your school are a part of. And so they have access to dragon fruit, but are their students going to eat dragon fruit? Maybe, depending on the culture, but they know that all the students are going to eat apples, so they get the apples, and maybe the apples are out of season, so they're kind of not the best apples, and so you're getting a quality of food that's not amazing. And a lot of the food is packaged, and I'm going to get into the reasons why a lot of the food is packaged in the next video, because I think this is a two-parter. But I think it's important to understand that the food that kids eat at school is very similar to the food that most Americans eat throughout the country. So if there's a problem with the school meal diet being processed food, then that is the same problem that all Americans face. So I don't think we should be targeting school meals for that being a problem, because if that is a problem, it is a universal problem in our country.